Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with CMO of Cadillac, Uwe Ellinghaus. Uwe, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Brian.
So you can hear a lot of construction.
Yes, indeed.
There's a lot going on here. Tell us what's happening in this Soho office.
Okay, this will be Cadillac's new headquarter that, fingers crossed, we plan to open in mid-September this year. And it will be simply our global home. This is not an exercise where a bunch of marketing people or creatives simply walk away from the headquarter to, let's say, get to an area where they hope to get more inspiration from. This is actually part of what we discussed before, General Motors' plan to get to more standalone business for Cadillac with an entire organization that's totally focused on Cadillac. And this is their new place to be.
So, why New York? And then maybe why Soho?
Yes, it's a very good question, and you can imagine I heard this question a lot, and understandably so. That we wanted to go to a metropolitan area. We wanted to be in an area where luxury consumption is the norm, where people get inspirations from retailers across all other industries because it's coming together here. I once called it the epicenter of luxury, and the people in LA were all over me saying that they are the epicenter of luxury. Maybe there are a couple of epicenters, but nobody can deny that New York is still for many the city all others are measured by. What I like about New York so very much is this spirit of never stand still, reinvent yourself. And this is exactly the spirit that I want to have in the brand. And I want to have people working here focused on Cadillac that reinvent the wheel every day anew and that never stand still.
So you're very involved in the office design, the layout, the aesthetics. Talk to us about some of the thought and strategy that went into the layout.
Yes, we are definitely not an easy customer for everybody involved in this construction work, simply because we have an own point of view, just like our brand has an own point of view. So I was very keen early on in the progress that we should not copy the usual office structure that we had before, which was pretty much the standard in the 1980s and 1990s, which basically means cubicles behind which people nicely hide and throw emails at each other rather than talking to each other. So you will not find any cubicles here. It will be open floor, a lot of transparency. It will not be particularly spacious. We are in New York after all, but it will be an atmosphere where the hierarchy matters far less than it normally does in our industry. So even senior managers will be on the open floor. Just a couple of them will have dedicated offices, yet these offices have glass walls, so it's all transparent. Everybody can see if I do dodgy things in my office going forward. And I also think we want this view onto the world and to New York that you have. We just saw it. You can see the Statue of Liberty, you can see the Freedom Tower, you can see the Empire State, and you can see Soho, and you can see the vibe of Soho. And for me, Soho is simply part of the contemporary American appeal that I want the brand to carry. Nothing wrong with Midtown, but it is a little bit the old corporate world that it embodies, the world of aspiration as it was in the 1980s and 90s. So neither Midtown nor Wall Street felt right. And if you look around here, you find creative agencies, you find many entrepreneurs, relatively small businesses that all want this vibrant atmosphere that Soho has. And now the people in Brooklyn are all over me saying, but we are also a vibrant part. We are not saying that this is the only possible destination for Cadillac, but it feels like the right one.
Talk to me about the stairs. You know, you a very deliberate decision
Yes.
to spend more money and invest in
Yes.
stairs.
Yes. Huge nightmare. When in conjunction with my boss, Johan de Nijssen, we agreed that we needed a staircase between the two floors that we are having. And the issue is not that people in this country can't walk a floor up and down. Well, they tend to prefer an elevator for sure, and it doesn't take long. But we realized ourselves that there is so much more interaction and communication with people on the same floor, and there is almost kind of a natural barrier to go even one floor up and down. You seldom see people doing it. So we said, can we please have an open staircase that makes sure that finance, sales, marketing and all others communicate with each other. Building a brand is a cross-functional exercise, and it needs so much alignment in your daily work because we all represent the brand, just in different jobs.
How many people will you have in the office?
We will start with about 120.
Fashion Week.
Yes.
Talk to me about some of the sort of unconventional events, activities, and other things that you're really trying to embed the brand into.
Yes. You know my conviction. I want to build a luxury brand that transcends the boundaries of the category automotive. I deliberately do not want to out-German our German competitors. I want Cadillac to dare greatly, to live up to what we say we are all about. And we want to be entrepreneurial also in our way in which we approach reaching out to our customers. We will not just emulate the usual activities in this very industry. For example, when it comes to events that you mentioned, like the New York Fashion Show or sponsorships, the automotive category sticks to golf, to other sports, to tennis, to motorsport.
And very endemic too,
and
right?
They are endemic, but also they are irrelevant, forgive me for saying so, for the Generation Y and even for parts of Generation X that we need to reach out to, who consider golf the perfect sport for baby boomers, and that's another reason for them not to engage in it. But younger people who have a certain affinity for the finer things in life are very interested in fashion, very interested in design, very interested in architecture and in entertainment. And this is
food.
In food and wine. So we need to show that we want to be part of their life by reaching out to them and simply accept that they are not reading car magazines, going to auto races, but they might attend a fashion show. But I also just didn't want to take over these events and platforms and attach the Cadillac logo to it. As I mentioned before to you, Brian, Cadillac has many challenges. Awareness is not among them. I want to surprise people positively by doing unusual things. And when we approached the Fashion Week, we decided to go for the Fashion Week Man, which didn't have an automotive partner. And I think men's fashion is a little underestimated, I wanted to say, and maybe nobody discovered that younger men pay utmost attention to their clothes. And that's why we started with New York Fashion Week Men's Day. And I was very pleased that we got a couple of very good reviews about our completely different approach. And we did not put up the Cadillac crest everywhere. It was very subtle, it was very discreet. And we enabled a couple of upcoming designers, entrepreneurs themselves, who weren't able to afford an own show, giving them resources to come together and use our platform for featuring their collections. And if I look at the media attendance and the coverage we got, I feel very encouraged to go down this route going forward.
Yeah, so you're living among them.
Yes.
That's why you're here in Soho.
Yes.
That's where it's all happening. It's food, it's lifestyle, it's fashion, it's everything.
It is.
I get it.
And it's casual, contemporary luxury. Even the best restaurants you can go to here will not be stuffy. You won't find tablecloths. Service are terrific, food is terrific, everything is up to the highest standard. And don't forget, younger luxury buyers still have high expectations, but they are not around the old world of luxury where, let's say, food was celebrated with coupoles that are lifted and other things that pretty much remind them of a world that is no longer appealing to them.
I think you make a really good point. I think it's really subtle. I don't want anyone to miss it, that you're really tapping into, and whether it's we label it Generation X, Y, Z, whatever.
Yes.
I think the new generation, and it can include people who are more experienced or age is irrelevant. I think it's a new way of thinking.
It is.
That it really is a more well-rounded
Correct.
lifestyle.
Correct.
Right? It's not just,
Correct.
hey, on Saturdays, on the weekends we play golf,
No.
and we go bowling or whatever, in the old school.
Correct.
It is about enjoying food and fashion and with friends
Yes.
and traveling
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's also not about impressing anybody with what you are doing, right? So you don't have to say that you are a member of a certain golf club any longer, right? You may be a member of a good fitness club, but you are a member because you pay attention to your shape and not by saying, people look at me, I am a member, right? So the diversity of life is also something that makes the life of a marketing manager like myself not particularly easy, because we need to reach out to a variety of people with totally different interests. Yet still, there is a red thread, and this is really that everything that enhances the quality of life, everything that provides you with a sense of well-being, and everything that's beautiful to look at is something that stimulates many people.
You're a bit of a foodie yourself, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And so have you brought that into your way of thinking? I mean, this campaign is basically your baby, right? This Dare Greatly.
It is my baby. No, if I brought, let's say, a food corporation in, everybody would accuse me that I made my hobby my job and asked the company to pay the bill. That's nothing that I do. I always said, I'm an entrepreneur. I only want to lose my job because my performance isn't right. I don't want to appear in an audit report. So no, I haven't done that, but it's definitely a very interesting area that quality food is now expected from fast food to fine dining. If you look around at the fast food scene here, you find sandwich shops and others, delis even, that are top-notch quality, yet fast and convenient. And this is another trend in luxury. Everything that helps people to save time is appreciated, but there is no willingness to compromise in quality of service or product offerings.
When you were coming up with this concept, this Dare Greatly concept, with the agency and all of your team, what were some of the things that you were battling with, trying to decide the messaging and trying to come up with a singular focus?
Yes, we definitely tried different routes before we finally agreed that Dare Greatly is probably the mindset that we want to embody ourselves, and something that entrepreneurs in general tend to do. And as I mentioned to you, we realized long before this campaign that entrepreneurs are the new rock stars, and everybody likes what not just the big boys in Silicon Valley are doing, but their appeal is coming from the fact that they give up a secure job in a huge corporation or the traditional career path because they simply want to be the master of their own destiny, and they don't want third parties to control their lives. And this is also something that we need, because the usual corporate animal will probably always end up with safe brand choices when it comes to picking a car, and they might end up with the Germans because they are a safe choice. They make 85% of the luxury market the world over. We probably only have a chance to reach out to people who say, I also want to dare greatly when it comes to buying my next car, and I'm deliberately not buying a car that my entire neighborhood already drives. As I mentioned to you, the ubiquity of the Germans, their perfect product substance, but one that is lacking emotions that Cadillac still delivers, and which is in design and in performance terms getting closer and closer and closer, is our biggest opportunity for people who will probably say, I know these cars are almost perfect, but they are ubiquitous, and also they all look the same. So I want Cadillac to be emotional and distinctive, but I also want to make clear we have a mindset, we dare greatly. It's not just a campaign. We need to tell stories. One of them we tell here with your help today.
Why is, when we look around the building, why is it important to have sort of the old sort of legacy classic Cadillac tied to the new? Is that deliberate?
Yes, that's absolutely crucial. Let's face it, Cadillac has a rich heritage that many other brands would crave for having and simply can't deliver. You cannot emulate heritage. You either have it or you don't have it. And in many countries outside of the US, Cadillac's heritage is undisputed as being simply great. And take our Chinese dealers. They put vintage cars like the 1967 Eldorado in their current dealerships because Chinese customers like the idea that Cadillac has been around for a while and has always expressed to a certain extent this forward-looking nature of the brand. If you look at our cars in the 1950s, 60s, they looked like they wanted to get to the moon on their own, right? And this is this boldness, this optimism, this belief that the future is better than the present. It's just an authentic representation of the American spirit without saying we are American. And the Americans are sometimes clouded in their view of Cadillac's history because they recall the period where we had quality issues, we had design issues, but this is only a certain period in Cadillac's 113-year-old history. But the brand doesn't have this baggage, the false familiarity with cars we might not want to be reminded of. And let's say 90 years of Cadillac's history has been a history of great cars with innovative technology and groundbreaking design. And this is why it's so important that we incorporate it. And as you rightly said, we will have vintage cars in here. It doesn't say that we build cars with the same dimensions or the same design language today, but the spirit you can still find in every single new Cadillac on the road today.
Yeah, and it's an appeal to tradition.
Correct.
You know, we've been doing it for a long time.
Yes.
Maybe therefore we still know what we're doing. And also it's a contrast, right? This is where we were and this is where we are now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We are embarking on a new journey, there is no denying, and there are some elements where we deliberately said we want to change the direction. Our products are far more performance oriented than they were in the past. As I always say, the couch on wheels had nowhere to go, nobody wanted such car any longer. But still many people want good looking and good driving cars. That's why I always say Cadillac's best time is yet to come.
So that's why it's important to have the showroom. You're going to have a showroom on this bottom floor.
We will. We will not sell cars from here, but we want to feature cars. It's a very interactive way with lots of digital content. But still we face the challenge, how do we get people to come in and take a look and see what we have to offer? Some will certainly be surprised to find us in Soho, in this very location. There is not a car dealership or anything like this around. But still, it's New York, right? Everybody looks only straight ahead. You've seen it all. And therefore, we need to give people reason to come to us. So expect a hell lot of life going on. We want to have fashion shows. We already had a few here in the building under construction, which wasn't easy. We will have concerts in the evening. We will have a coffee bar. We will provide reason to go here, and there will be no sales pressure whatsoever. We just want to show you just how much Cadillac has changed.
You're one of the neighbors.
Yes, indeed, a good neighbor. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we've been spending a little time with CMO Cadillac, Uwe Ellinghaus. Uwe, thanks again for your time.
It's been a pleasure, Brian Semmer. Thank you so much.